We're going to start off with a problem like this, x minus 1 squared minus 64. Now, there's going to be two ways you can do this problem, but one of them is a very easy way. Option 1 is I take this and I FOIL it out to x squared minus 2x plus 1, keeping the minus 64. Then I'm going to simplify what I have, x squared minus 2x. This would add to negative 63, and then refactor that, x minus 9 and x plus 7. And that would be a factored form. But option 2 is going to be far better with some of the problems that we're going to be doing. Option 2 with x squared minus 1, or x minus 1 squared minus 64, is to see that this is a difference of two squares. That what I have is something squared minus something squared. And when I have a difference of two squares, it splits into a binomial, two terms, and a binomial, two terms, with a plus in one and a minus in the other. What's going to go in this first spot, and it's identical to both the binomials, is this x minus 1 squared will just become an x minus 1 and an x minus 1. And the 64 splits to become an 8 and an 8. And if I simplify this, this is x plus 7 and this is x minus 9, which, as you note, is the same thing we just got up here. This is what we like to call harder difference of two squares, and we're going to practice this pattern a lot. You're going to see things like this: x minus 7 squared minus y plus 1 squared. That is a difference of two squares. And it's a difference of two squares, meaning I'm going to split it into something minus something else and something plus something else. Now, the first one is going to be an x minus 7, and the second one is going to be a y plus 1. There's a reason I'm keeping these in parentheses. I'm going to do another next careful step where I drop the parentheses and distribute this negative, x minus 7 minus y minus 1. And then here there's no negative to distribute, and I'm just going to drop the parentheses anyway, x plus 7 plus y plus 1. And then as a last step, we're going to add like terms. So I have x, I'm going to keep the minus y, and negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8. And here I have x plus y. Negative 7 plus 1 is minus 6. This is considered the factored form. Sometimes I might notice something where it's in the opposite way, meaning it's going to be a number first, like maybe 121 minus, and I'm going to have parentheses, 1 minus 5x squared. That doesn't look like a difference of two squares as much, but it still is. I mean, 121 is 11 squared, and this is still 1 minus 5x squared. And this is another way to write a difference of two squares to see what's happening. But we're still going to split it into a binomial and another binomial, one with a minus and one with a plus. And in the first place goes the square root of 11 squared, just 11. And in the second place goes the 1 minus 5x in parentheses. The 11 is also in parentheses, but it's just a single number, so I don't have to worry about that as much. So now I'm going to make this negative distribute and go 11 minus 1, but plus 5x. And there's no negative to distribute here, so that's just 11 plus 1 minus 5x. Simplify this. 11 minus 1 is 10, so I have 10 plus 5x. Trying to write a 5 here. And I have 11 plus 1 is 12, and I have 12 minus 5x. We're not done. We're close. This would be almost full credit, but not quite. There's just one more thing we have to do, and that is, if I look at this first one here, there's still a greatest common factor now that kind of happened because I added those and got something. I can pull a 5 out. So I'm going to pull the 5 out, leaving behind a 2 plus x, and there's nothing to pull out in this second one, 12 minus 5x. So that one is done. One more and then we'll be done. Now I'm going to use brown, the color of poo here. So I'm going to go 16x squared plus 8x plus 1 minus y squared. This looks weird unless I put it like this. Now, this is going to be a two-stepper that we're going to see happening in the coming days. Sorry, here's the color of poo. I know I promised poo, and there it is. We're going to take this trinomial, and I'm going to factor this as a perfect square. This is actually, it could be split into two, and we'll do that here right now. Let's just go 4x, 1 and 1, plus and plus, and that works. And if you see that, keep the minus y squared. This is not a factored form because I still have that minus symbol there, but if I express this as 4x plus 1 squared, and then I keep the minus y squared, now you should see, okay, this is a something squared minus something squared. And that factors into a binomial with a minus in the middle, and a binomial with a plus in the middle, two conjugates. The first becomes a 4x plus 1, and then the second one becomes a y and a y. We'll still do that same cleanup step where I remove the inner parentheses, 4x plus 1 minus y, and 4x plus 1 plus y, and that is done.